Hi, my name is Matt. Welcome to a new episode of Unbearable 73. It's time to review the atrocity that's Season 1, Episode 5 of Amazoff's Rings of Prime. I thought my hatred for this show, I'm tired because I had a rough night or a rough work week. Sorry, guys. But I thought my hatred for this show would simmer down a lot, because it's just like more like a pile of ash type of simmering, And I thought there was nothing else that can make my anger and hatred return for this show. I hated it. Once ago, I was angry at it. But this isn't the video for that, okay? If you want to see why I'm so angry, watch the video where I compare Rings of Prime to the actual lore. This video is just a straight review of the episode on its own merits, or rather lack thereof, okay? And, you could sum this episode up in pretty much one thing, okay? And this is ad-libbing a bit, but I'm going to add a clip in here. Media source. Yeah, sorry for the ad-lib on this, guys. I'm just so tired right now. Tired in the soul, tired in the body.
Real sauce. Give me the meat and give it to me
you
raw.
Could hear that because obviously I can't. But that's basically the "show me the meat" clip, and that is pretty much the summary of the entirety of the writing skill of the writers for this show. Because, and as I'll go over here, I can't even structure this one. I'm so burnt out on it. So I'll just talk about some issues with it, okay? I'll just go over a list, and I don't want to belabor this because this episode is taking too much of your life and my life. So, the primary story-based issue with this show, the actual primary issue I did a whole video on, which is all these characters either are boring and unappealing, or you hate them and want them to die. So there's no, that's the actual primary issue. But in terms of the actual story itself, we have 5 episodes over 6 hours in, and the show's called The Rings of Power, right? Celebrimbor forced all of them, except for the One Ring. Celebrimbor has less than 20 minutes, maybe even less than 10 minutes of actual screen time. And there's not even a hint of anything of the actual forging of the rings being an event. Meaning, they're not even building towards it as someone mentioning why, the rings, Sauron wanted the rings for mind control. The elves wanted the rings to sort of give them a sort of power boost for the people who they gave them to be preservative and all that. Not even a hint of any of that. No. We learn in this episode that the gigantic whatever it is that Celebrimbor is building has nothing to do with the rings, but in fact has to do with the secret elf master plan to use Mithril to bathe the elves all at once in light of valor and therefore renew their souls, which will always die unless they left Middle Earth. More on this one later. First, go to the sociopathic not hobbits, okay? The Harfeet. Over the last 2 episodes, they pretty much established that the Harfeet are sociopaths who abandon their own people during the annual migrations for even the slightest reason. They decided that Nori's entire family was subject to being left behind because of something that just Nori did. Okay? In this episode, they tripled down on it. Malva tells Sadoc that he should have removed the wheels from their wagons completely. And what makes it sad is they actually had a decent little story arc in this episode, Meteor Man ultimately saving the Harfeet. But right near when it climaxes, we get to see what Malva and Sadoc that I mentioned, which makes me wish the Harfeet would just be eaten by the wolves. And the fact that the entirety of the Harfeet storyline to this point really should have been in the first 2 episodes. So, let's move over to Numenor. There are so many things wrong in this Numenor subplot that, I could do whole reviews just about that. Okay? But let's start with that sparring session between Galadriel and Numenorean soldiers. The entire tone of it was wrong. It's supposed to be a session where they're learning how to kill orcs, which Galadriel has tons of experience of, and the Numenorians have 0 of. Okay, it's supposed to be preparing to go to war against the forces of Sauron. Galadriel herself is supposed to be a driven character. The tone of the fight is mostly playful, like something from Xena Warrior Princess. There are also technical issues with it. They kept cutting away and not showing how Galadriel dealt with many of the attacks that were made upon her. I'd speculate because the fight was written with her using superhuman acrobatics. Basically, they wrote the fight that she was using those superhuman acrobatics she did in her fight scene in the first film, but they didn't want to film it. They just, So all those scenes where they cut away, where they don't show how to deal with it, They wrote, say, do something like leaping over them or whatever, and they just didn't bother filming it. So on another show, was the incident with the ship exploding. Okay, and this is again another tone issue too as well. First, lighting up either oil or wine or beer will not cause an explosion like that. It's second, where are the ship guards? Presumably there are several dead people due to terrorism. Third, why did Isildur and another guy whose name I don't even care about, Neko, Miko, Rocco, whatever. Anyway, why did they have a comedy fight? I mean, this is supposed to be a dead serious issue. Also, how are 500 soldiers going to make any difference? And we see horses being loaded on these ships with cranes. We see, doorways or car holes that a horse can even fit in. Do they have a one-man cavalry? Is that one horse going to be just trotting around that one deck of the ship for the entire several-week journey? I mean, and those ships, they're not even big enough to fit a 500-man army. Because remember, the army are not the sailors. Unless you really want a sucky army, your army's going to be a separate entity from the sailors. And let's go to the most absurd thing of all, which I started with earlier. Again, not even 6 episodes in a show called Rings of Power, and haven't even touched on the beginning of the Forge of the Rings of Power. A series of events in the lore that took more than 2 decades. I've already expounded upon that earlier, but now as we learn, the reason for Celebrimbor building whatever he's building is to bathe all the elves in Middle-earth with the light of the Valar that somehow is contained in Mithril. Okay? All I'm asking is one question. One. If the elves have no idea if Mithril existed at all that was a legend about an elf fighting a Balrog over Silmaril, why would they leap to the conclusion that this bathing in the light planet was even viable? Someone's been giving them meat. Did my review sound confusing? Well, to me it certainly was. It took me days and days to try to organize my thoughts around this garbage episode. The writing is mind-bogglingly bad. It's like there are really 20 to 30 writers who just write small scenes, and the director tries to weave them together in chronological order that they were written to occur in, without caring if they make any sense. The show's not getting better, and neither is my fracking blood pressure. Sorry, guys. I mean, being tiredness and lack of. On one hand, I'm extremely angry about this show. On the other hand, I don't care about it, and that's kind of sad, I guess, in both ways. Comment down below if you have any questions for me about this video. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button if you liked it. Hit dislike if you didn't. Please share this video out. I'm Matt. This has been another episode of Unbearable 73. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.